the Diamond News Descarade with Francesca PHIRI Banda.
Will not send troops. Vladimir Putin warns that Moscow's response will be instant if anyone tries to take on Russia.
This morning, the explosions, the shelling, that maybe this is it. But if you ask me, there have been so many things happening over the course of the past days that nobody thought is likely and turned out to be realpolitik. For example, the recognition of the two self-proclaimed states in the Donbas region, Luhansk and Donetsk, that have been basically taken as declared as, as an independent region, and also Vladimir Putin saying that basically Ukraine doesn't have the right to exist as a state. So that clearly signals that unfortunately, more likely, more is to come, even though at this point things seem to be calm. Behind me, we have seen a lot of Ukrainian security forces. We cannot independently verify actually what those shellings or what those explosions have hit, but there are reports that the military airport just 50 kilometers from here was also attacked, as well as a building which is supposedly the military intelligence headquarters.
Funny Fashar in Kiev, well, the Ukrainian government says dozens of its soldiers have been killed. Despite this, they are promising an all-out defence.
With dawn came the bombs. Russia attacked sites across Ukraine. The Russian troops that had been amassing on the border for weeks started rolling in, recorded on surveillance cameras by Ukraine's border police. Russia's leader, Vladimir Putin, announced the military operation in a broadcast on Russian TV. He disparaged Ukraine's democratically elected government and asked Ukrainian soldiers to surrender. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky introduced martial law. And he made an emotional plea to Russians.
I'm addressing you, the Russian people, as a Ukrainian citizen. We are separated by a border stretching more than 2,000 kilometers. And right now, there are 200,000 of your soldiers there. Your leadership has authorized them to move into the territory of another country. And this could mark the start of a major war on the European continent.
Black smoke from a Ukrainian military airport in Chugiev in the east of the country. Russia confirms that they bombed the site. A housing block was hit, and distraught residents were left grieving the first casualties in a new war they did not want. As the world condemned Russia's attack on its neighbour, the EU Commission President said all of Europe is under threat.
Russia's target is not only Donbas. The target is not only Ukraine. The target is the stability in Europe and the whole of the international peace order. And we will hold President Putin accountable for that.
Germany's Chancellor Olaf Scholz promised more sanctions.
We will be coordinating closely with our international partners in NATO and in the European Union today in order to place further severe sanctions against Russia now.
But sanctions can't come soon enough for many Ukrainians. In the capital, Kyiv, cars jammed the roads as the residents tried to flee the city.
Well, Vladimir Putin announced this invasion as UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres.
And back home, our staffer Shem Malinda reports that some parents with children studying in Ukraine have raised concern over the safety of their children following Russia's attack on that country. A parent, Brigitta PHIRI, whose daughter is a fourth-year medical student in Ukraine, says government needs to expedite the evacuation process. She adds that government should ensure students in that country are safely evacuated back home. Meanwhile, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation Stanley Kakovo says following the recent developments in Ukraine, government has involved relevant machineries to coordinate the evacuation. He adds that government is doing everything possible to evacuate the 141 known Zambians in that country, mainly students in various universities across that country. Mr. Kakovo says government has been in close contact with the Zambian embassy in Moscow regarding the tension.
The tension between Russia and Ukraine has caused global concerns. As of Thursday, February 24, 2022, explosives were heard in major cities of Ukraine, including the capital, Kyiv, from Russia. However, Zambian students in Ukraine and parents of these students back home are worried because of the situation. A parent to one of the medical students studying in Ukraine has called for quick intervention from government to ensure the safety of its students.
As much as they have begun the process of trying to save the lives of these children, that for now we can say they are in danger. Maybe if they can just quicken the process so that they make sure they save the children safely, then will be great.
Meanwhile, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation Stanley Kakubo says government has started preparations to evacuate the 141 non-Zambians in Ukraine.
And following this regrettable latest development in the last 24 hours, the government has had to take this course of action in order to ensure safety of our nationals. The exercise is being coordinated by the relevant government machinery, and would like to take this opportunity also to assure the public, especially the students who are out there and their respective parents, their guardians, that every effort is being made to ensure their safety and return back on Zambian soil.
The tension is likely to spark the rise in fuel pump prices in Zambia, as crude oil prices on the international market are now fetching at $97 per barrel. Shem Malinda, Diamond News.
Still to come in the news, Russia's attack on Ukraine pushes oil prices upwards. We do have that story later on in our bulletin. But first, residents of Lusaka's Obama, Ranchdale and Kamanga compound have expressed concern over the increase in criminal gangs terrorizing the area. Some residents who did not wish to be identified for fear of victimization have attributed lack of a police post to the heightened criminal rate, while others, like Mundia Nawa, have called on police to intensify patrols in the area to ensure both property and lives. However, Deputy Police Spokesperson Danny Mwale has advised the residents to engage Charleston police officer in charge to discuss plans of establishing a police post. This comes after the residents in the area vandalized the only existing police post in September 2020 after a suspect died in custody.
2 years after residents of Kamanga compound in Lusaka vandalized the police post in the area after a suspect died in custody, criminal gangs have infiltrated the area. The gangs are operating in groups called junkies, attacking unsuspecting members of the public in full view of onlookers with impunity. Beverly Kunda is one of the residents who tells Diamond News that the situation in the area is becoming desperate. We have really suffered in this area. A lot of unemployed youths are now taking advantage of not having a police post in the area by attacking unsuspecting members of the public. We're really calling on government to ensure that the police post is constructed. We are also asking government to ensure that these unemployed youths are given something to do for them to avoid attacking unsuspecting members of the public. The situation here in Kamanga area is worrying, and if left unchecked, a number of lives are going to be lost. Others like Mundia Nawa and Jack Mutinda are calling on government to consider putting up a police post to curb the increased crime. We're really calling on government to ensure that the police post is constructed. We are also asking government to ensure that these unemployed youths are given something to do for them to avoid attacking unsuspecting members of the public. However, Deputy Police Spokesperson Danny Mwale says that it is unfortunate that residents who vandalized the police post are now crying foul, while assuring them that police patrols are being conducted to ensure sanity.
If they claim to say that crime is on the rise, the best they should do is to engage the officer in charge at Charleston Police Station so that they discuss and chart the way forward. Otherwise, just like in any other compound or places, police do carry out both motorized and foot patrols during the day and at night.
In September 2020, residents in the area took out their frustrations on the infrastructure and are now crying foul and asking the police to give them the same services. Memory Nyambe, Diamond News.
Let's now have a look at